It's 8 p.m. Welcome to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Nathan Kwao.
And I am Femi Adunyame. Coming up,
family of missionary murdered in Cameroon accuses foreign ministry of apathy 2 weeks after he was gunned down by soldiers.
We'll go to the western region where a senior police officer has been interdicted after ordering the caning of a 14-year-old Class 6 student.
Also coming up, we find out what people think about the proposed cap on childbearing among families by the National Population Council.
Leaders from both sides of Parliament resolved to seek amendment of law surrounding the appointment of Electoral Commissioner. We'll bring you details of what their suggestions are.
Let's get to the details now. And family of the Ghanaian missionary who was shot dead in Cameroon has expressed disappointment in the government of Ghana for doing nothing to help them.
28-year-old Apostle Isaac Arthur was shot dead 2 Fridays ago on his way home at Batibo, a suburb in the crisis-hit Anglophone region of the country. He left behind a widow and a 2-month-old baby. Citi Newsroom's Caleb Kuda has the details.
Elder brother of the deceased, Ebenezer Arthur, narrates to Citi Newsroom how the family got wind of the brutal killing of his brother, 28-year-old Apostle Isaac Arthur, in another man's land.
And from what I heard, they said he was on Okada with an Okada man heading to the village, and then they got ambushed by the military in a town called Batibo in Cameroon. That was where they were killed. And from what we gathered, there's a war, an ongoing war in Cameroon between the Francophone and the Anglophone side of Cameroon. There are two sides of Cameroon, Anglophone and Francophone. And then the incumbent president is a French. So he's trying to kill and put fear in the Anglophone side so that, he could still be the president and also, render them powerless, sort of. So when the military forces come in touch with any individual and you can't speak French, you are considered as a threat to the president, and you are either killed or, brutally wounded.
He recounts how several attempts to get the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration to help the family retrieve the body of the late apostle were met with cold shoulders.
We went there on Monday, submitted a letter. They said they were going to do their own investigations and then possibly get back to us. And so I've been there a couple of times. The last time I went there was yesterday, and I was able to meet with the director of the Legal and Consular Bureau. And I told the current news we had that his body has been buried, and we would like to come for some legal advice and also actions to be taken. And according to her, they are still waiting on reports from the missions in Guinea, because I think the embassy in Guinea is the one that handles all missions, all Ghanaian missions in Cameroon. And so, luckily enough, the missions in Guinea I've been able to get in touch with them, and we've been speaking the whole time. So I called them to find out why they haven't reported or sent their report back to the Foreign Affairs. And from what I got, they submitted the report last week, Thursday. And the people here too are saying the Foreign Affairs, the Consular and Legal and Consular Bureau people too are saying they haven't received the report yet. So we should wait till they get it before they can tell us what next to do.
Worst affected by his passing is Esther Arthur, the young widow who now has the responsibility of fathering and mothering a 2-month-old baby boy all by herself.
Sad story there. Let's get onto the telephone and speak to the brother of the deceased, Mr. Ebenezer Arthur. If you can hear me, sir, good evening and welcome to Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV.
Good evening, and thank you for wanting to speak to me.
I accept our condolences on this sad situation, but ever since the story went public, have you had any reactions from the government? We know that you've been trying to reach out, but ever since the story went public, has the government said anything to the family?
No, they haven't said anything to us.
So what are you going to do now? You want justice for your brother who's passed on. What's the next step for you?
I mean, like I said, what the issue is now is more of a political than a domestic one. And the fact that we're dealing with another country, I don't think, I think it's very hard for an individual to just get up and take matters into his or own hands and say he or she is going to handle the situation. We have to work it through the government. And so that's exactly what we are doing now. And we are just hoping there will be a bit fast about the whole thing. What I got is there's a lot of diplomacy involved and you know how that kind of thing is a bit slow and all of that. So, but then we're hoping, I mean, at the end of the day, justice will be served and then everybody will go home happy.
I mean, final question, what about the Cameroonian authorities? I know that's a bit of a task, but have you reached them? Have you by chance received any reaction from the Cameroonian authorities on this matter?
No, but then I actually did a couple of interviews on, I think, some of the major news platforms, the National Telegraph, my TV station, and a couple of them. And then from what I got, they said the government is aware of the situation, but then again, you know, they are trying to conceal the whole thing and make sure it doesn't come out. So the government doesn't want to make any sort of commitment or comment about the whole situation. So maybe our government does something or officially say something about the whole situation.
I said that was... Okay, Ebenezer, I said that was my last question, but what about the church? What has the church said, or what is the church's reaction to the passing of their dear pastor?
Yeah, like I said, okay, he went to Cameroon with the head of the church. And then he's in Cameroon actually. So he was also trying to, when the whole thing happened, he was trying to secure the body and probably have it brought to Ghana. But then he tried, and from what I got from him, there was a whole lot of hindrances from the government to prevent him from getting the body. Because, like I said, they were trying to cover the whole story up and make sure it doesn't go out. So we got a story on Monday, the 15th of July, and I was speaking with the doctor at the mortuary where the body was lying. And then according to him, they were ordered not to allow anybody to get the body or put the body in the fridge. And then the next one, which was the Tuesday, the mayor of the area ordered that the body is buried before the end of the day or something like that. That's what it was. So the head pastor is also coming. And then he called me today to let me know all the paperwork confirmed that he's been buried and dead and all of that. So he's trying to come to Ghana and then add it up to some of the stuff we have done. Probably go to the foreign affairs again and then give it to them and see what is happening with that kind of conversation.
All right, Ebenezer. All right, thank you very, very much for speaking to us, Ebenezer Atto. He's the brother of the deceased pastor, Ghanaian pastor, who was shot and killed in Cameroon. Once again, accept our condolences and we wish you the very best. Let's stay with matters of the police and security. And the Inspector General of Police has ordered the immediate interdiction of the District Police Commander of Seri Akontombra, DSP Dixon Obeng, for ordering his men to assault a 14-year-old student. The 14-year-old boy, who received 36 lashes at his back, has been transferred to the Dwaboso Government Hospital in the Western Region for treatment. Photo of the Class 6 pupil, identified as Stanley Entry, show welts on his back as a result of the lashes he received. Let's get on the line and let's speak to father of the child, Enoch Tando, for more reactions on this particularly sad matter. Good evening, Mr. Tando. If you can hear me, welcome to Citi Newsroom. It looks like we don't have Mr. Tando on the line, but earlier we caught up with him for an interview, and these were some of the words he had to say concerning the sad incident that occurred to his son Stanley Entry some time ago.
He's a police commander who ordered the community police to treat my child like this. He was fighting with one of his colleagues around commander's office. The office around their school. And commander says when he called my child, he didn't respond. So he's not a good boy. That's why he treats him like this. He wants to give my child 20 lashes. So when they enter 17 and he removes his hand from the table, he will be punished again. So my child says they gave him 20, and out of the 20, he received 19. So he couldn't. So they start afresh and ended 17. And the commander informed me that he was present because my child is not good at all. When he says, stop fighting, they didn't mind him. That's why he must treat him like this. They are having a lot there. If a child do these things, you have to treat him. You have to give the person 7 cases. And nowadays, they have extended it 11 cases. That's why he must treat my child like this. And secondly, you inform us that if it was nothing, they must have using the share butter to pass through his womb. We have sent him to the hospital yesterday, but now I'm the way going to his place. He couldn't even sleep.
So that was the father of the child who was allegedly whipped by the police in Sefi Akontombra. We'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. You're still watching Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked,
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day. The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on Citi TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Stella Madonu on Citi TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Welcome back to the Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV. Earlier, we brought you a story about a child who was allegedly caned by police in Sefria Consombra. And in relation to that, the Ghana Police Service has put out a statement concerning the officer at the center of the saga. And the statement reads, the Inspector General of Police has ordered the immediate interdiction of the District Police Commander for Sefria Consombra, DSP Dixon Obeng, for ordering his men to assault a 14-year-old primary school boy at Sefria Consombra in the Western region.
Now, in addition to this, the IGP has directed the police commander for Western region to constitute a team to investigate the incident and report within 2 weeks.
The public will be updated in respect of progress on this case, and a statement is signed by David Eklu, who is Assistant Commissioner of Police, Director General, Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service.
The police has been in the news in recent time for all the bad reasons.
Yes.
I don't know how they themselves feel about this.
I wonder, from Midlands to this to almost every
and
other
that's what's the issue is pending. All these are pending, and they keep adding on.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not killing somebody out of negligence, it is out of something. And you know, this is quite terrible. Just two boys fighting, and because the boy did not stop when he was asked to, he's been lashed. I mean, given this is quite terrible. I wonder how an adult can even stand this.
This is really sad. Like you're saying, it's a bad time for the Ghana police, and they'll have to respond and do something about this, because their image
to redeem.
Yes, it's taking a big hit.
It's terrible.
It's taking a big hit there.
We can only wish the police force well.
The very best.
Terrible time for police service. Anyway, so we move on, and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says a total of 150,000 people have so far been interviewed for job placements under the Nation Builders Corps initiative.
Dr. Bawumia says the situation puts a major task on government to find jobs for the teeming Ghanaian youth.
Dr. Bawumia, who was at the offices of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to observe the ongoing interview, says the Nation Builders Corps will go a long way to solve the many unemployment gaps in the country.
You need 100,000 graduates. The applicants are almost 50% more than that. So this is why you need to select very competent people to these positions so that you can have a better outcome, right, across all the modules. So I'm happy that the panel is taking their responsibility very seriously, asking very piercing questions of the candidates. I'm also happy to see that the candidates are very prepared and they know what they're doing. Herbert, for example, has been at home and for a few years and is having a difficulty finding a job, having gone through nursing training. And I think this will offer him an opportunity, as he has himself said, to gain some experience.
The Nation Builders Corps was introduced by the Akufo-Addo administration last year to deal with the unemployment situation in Ghana. The initiative has 7 models, which covers major sectors of the economy. The initiative seeks to employ 100,000 graduates across the country. Addressing journalists after his observation, Dr. Bawumia says government has put in place adequate measures to sustain the program.
To ensure sustainability of the program, first of all, you cannot create it in a vacuum. It has to be demand-driven. One of the things that we said right from the beginning, that if you try to impose people on different sectors, it wouldn't work. The people who are going into Healed Ghana module, the health ministry must be demanding them. You see what I mean? And similarly with the Feed Ghana and so on, Digitize Ghana, there must be a demand for them in those areas and sectors in the first place. So aligning demand with supply has been one particular aspect of ensuring sustainability.
Constitutional provision on the appointment of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to be amended. This is to make way for greater consultations as well as the involvement of Parliament in the appointment process. There is more in the following report.
Currently, the President is mandated by the Constitution in Article 70 to appoint the chairperson of the Electoral Commission on the advice of the Council of State, with the recent controversy surrounding the nomination of Jean Mensah as EC chair and the similar concern of the appointment of former chairperson Charlotte Osei has ignited a debate on the whole process of appointment. Speaking at a media interaction, Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu expressed concern about the politicization of the position of EC chairperson and recommended a constitutional amendment as soon as practicable.
I thought that we needed to amend the Constitution to have the President become very consultative. And the way to doing that, in my view, was to have Parliament approve of the appointment of the Electoral Commissioner by a 2/3 majority. There are some of these constitutional provisions that we may have to have a second look at. I think I almost convinced Right Honorable Ajaho, but he said, okay, can we sleep over it? The following day when I went, then he drew my attention to the point, the fact that that constitutional provision is an entrenched provision. The entrenched provision, so we couldn't amend it. But in principle, we were, moving in that direction. And I think that as a country, we should be looking at these things, how to properly constitute the Electoral Commission.
Minority Leader Harry Naidusu, however, says there must be a domestication of the office of the Electoral Commission chairperson.
We are interrogating the personalities and background of those appointed. What I want is a credible electoral commission that will conduct free and fair elections in Ghana. But trust me, my own opinion, my elections tamale serve first. Then I'll be interested in what happens in the other 274 constituency. What happens at the headquarters is what we remit to them. And therefore, we should demystify what an electoral commissioner and deputy electoral commissioners can do. Honestly, we should demystify it. In my constituency, I get my election results by 9-10 p.m. and I have it from all my polling stations.
Still at that forum, the Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu admitted that the House cannot pass the much-anticipated Right to Information Bill before the House rises over the weekend.
I should say that given the volume of that document, it's not likely that I'll be able to complete it this meeting. The next meeting, which is a budget meeting, which may hold beginning the last week in October, I guess we'll come and continue with it.
Issues such as the punctuality of MPs, ongoing reforms of the standing orders of Parliament, as well as the friction between the Speaker and the minority, came up for discussion at the media interaction with the leadership of Parliament.
Let's get some other stories. And over 100 people have made their homes in cars that have been abandoned at the heart of the capital by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. As our reporter Michael Obodu reports, life for these persons is fraught with danger.
Dorothy Osei, a junior high school graduate, and her 18-month-old son have resided here for the past 6 months. This car junkyard called Mensagini, situated right behind the Accra Central District Court, is effectively home to over 120 other people.
The experience been living here is very bad. For me, it's very, very bad. We don't have water. We fetch water at the borehole down the sea. So it's very bad.
Dorothy elaborates further on how the conditions of living is here.
The borehole, water from a rock comes down, we fetch. That's where we fetch water. Okay. For the ladies, we bath like 4 o'clock. 4. And in the evening, like 9 to 10.
Where in particular?
Where? Where you can hide behind the car or something like that.
What happens when it rains? Because I can see you have cloths all over there.
It's because of the rain is stepping in the car. That's why we have put it on the rubbers and so for it not to come inside the car.
Nana Kwame is a driver and a deferred level 300 University of Cape Coast distance education student who is a neighbor to Dorothy. He explains how he ended up here.
I live here, and at the same time, I'm a driver, so I go spare anytime I get spare car. For example, taxi, I'm a taxi driver with licenses.
So show me, where do you live? Show me where in particular your apartment is.
I live here. This is my house, and I live there, sleep there. There was a time somewhere, January this year, last year I was supposed to register, but I couldn't, lack of money, and my rent at Odoko Trazo Road 2 was expiring, and that I need somewhere I can live without paying rent and gather something small to move out. So I thought of 2 places, but rather realized that here is safer for me.
According to him, the most valuable things most people who live here have, that's for the few who can even afford, is a mobile phone, which thieves in the area usually target. The area, which is also a dump yard for coconut sellers, is covered in filth, raising lots of concerns on the health threat it poses to residents aside the regular smoking of cigarettes and marijuana by squatters. With the filth, lack of security, drug abuse, and constant exposure to crime, one cannot but wonder what becomes of little Abna in the future, whose mother is the main drinking sport operator here at Mensa, Guinea. For Citi News, Michael Obodu.
Will you agree to a government policy that limits the number of children you can have? This is the proposal from the head of the National Population Council, Dr. Letitia Appiah, who is suggesting a maximum of 3 children to enable the state effectively use its scarce resources. Citi Newsroom's Eugenia Timkran takes the view of the public on this.
The decision to have children or not is one usually made by a man and a woman. But this simple family planning decision might soon be regulated if a proposal from the National Population Council is considered. Now, the head of the NPC, that is the National Population Council, Dr. Letitia Appiah, is proposing a maximum of 3 children to check the country's growing population. What do you think? What do members of the public think? Well, we are on the streets of Accra.
Okay, to me, I can support to say the government is better. If you say we see a couple on our bus Accra, especially baby to set demonstration and as if one, but my cousin say I will be bringing in account. If you say many about when in my yard and say if you say over 3, no bet my show more, you better so be brave.
I will not support this in a way that to give birth, you know your capacity as to if you are capable of giving birth to 2, you know. I think you need nobody to come and tell you the amount of children you're supposed to give birth to. If you are capable of giving birth to 1,000, yes, that is your strength.
The country's population growth currently stands at some 29.6 million, with an annual growth rate of about 2.5. Dr. Appiah believes if the rate is not checked, it might become a threat to national development. She wants the government to motivate small families as a means of managing the country's population. But an associate professor of the Regional Institute of Population Studies, Professor Felix Kwanchi, believes educating people on the effect of the number of children on the economy and even on families will be more appropriate.
We must give public education and then let people understand some of the challenges that they will face personally as an individual giving birth in terms of the woman's health, the child's health, you see, the economic situation of the family. And let's appeal to people, provide them with the mechanisms that can help them cut their costs according to the size of their material in terms of their economic situation.
Now we go over to the phone lines and talk to population expert Professor Stephen Kwachi. Good evening, Professor, and thank you very much for your time on Citi Newsroom.
Good evening.
Now, the Population Council has been advocating for this for quite a while now. How feasible is this?
Well, I've always argued that this is not the way to go. So
So I don't see it as feasible.
What do you think is the best way to go?
The best way to go for me is to do what we've been doing and do it in a better way. Because Ghana, since 1969, when we had our first population policy, we opted for the voluntary appeal to people to understand and appreciate the fact that we need human beings, but we don't need them just in quantity, but in terms of quality. And so we have to appeal to people, educate them, let them understand and know the implications of having too many births per woman. And the health implications must also be preached to people so that they understand and then voluntarily decide how many they want to have, bearing in mind the implications on their economic situation as well as their health. This has been my argument, and that's what I've worked for. And research indicates that if you legislate, eventually you backtrack, as China has done. So I don't think it is right to propagate a legislation and proposing a cap on the number of children people will have. And I've also argued that if you do that, those who are even going to make the legislation do not have that moral right to do that, because they might have even gone beyond 5 or 6. And so what right do they have when they have already had 5, 6, 7, 10 children to now turn around to legislate that younger ones who are coming cannot have more than 3 children? Let us appeal to people. You see, we started from about 8 children in the 1960s. We've come down without any legislation, and we are now around 4 children per woman. Why are we now thinking of making a law? So that is my argument.
Professor, is it not because of where we have come from that now a law is in order? Because education on family planning has gone on for so long, but nothing has really been done. Look at the growing street families that we have in our country. You do not believe that the right step now is to have a law to back this education?
No. In the first place, that argument is even flawed. Because if it has not worked, how have we come from about 8 children some 40 years ago to 4 children now? If it hasn't worked, then we will still be giving birth to 8, 10, and more children. So I don't buy that argument that it hasn't worked. Maybe the rate at which we want it to work, we haven't achieved it. That is something that you can talk about. But that does not call for making a law. Who police the people to comply with the law? I mean, giving birth is not done in the open, because the conception takes place behind closed doors. I've always argued. So if you make a law, who will even respond to that law? So that argument, I think that is premature, and we should have to stop it.
Now, beyond just education, do you probably think that there should be some kind of incentives, and family planning should be affordable to help curb this issue?
You see, from not too long ago, there was an advocate that called for the inclusion of family planning as part of the benefits package of the National Health Insurance Scheme. That was accepted in terms of policy, but it has not been operationalized. I believe that, you see, if we make family planning available to people and we remove all the barriers that surround its implementation, in terms of the myths and the superstition that surround it, I think we'll make a bigger headway rather than making laws. Because there are people in the DHS, the Ghana Demographic and Health Survey reports, we have indicators that indicate that we have unmet need for family planning. That is, people who approve of family planning, they are sexually active, and yet they don't use any method of family planning. That's what we describe as unmet need. So if we have such people in the system, what we have to do is find out why they are not meeting their needs, and then try to address it. Some of them are founded in sociocultural practices and belief systems in our system. We need to address those ones. If you make a law and you don't address those ones, I think that you just be making law on paper. It will never work, and we will regret.
Professor, thank you very much for your time. Right, so that was population consultant Professor Stephen Kwachi, who thinks that the right way to deal with our growing population is not to have a policy or a law to back this. You're still watching Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV. We have more news coming up. Do stay.
The Citi FM Literacy Challenge is back. Are you a JHS student? Are you willing to contribute to change? What would you do if you were the president of Ghana? Do you want to win a whopping 10,000 Ghana cedis? If yes, then participate in the Literacy Challenge 2018. Level 1. The year is 2035. The law allows people below age 40 to contest the presidency. As a presidential candidate in a general election, in no less than 600 words, write your manifesto speech. Remember, letter must be in your own handwriting, must be endorsed by a parent or guardian. Add your full contact details and post to the Literacy Challenge, P.O. Box GP 14123 Accra Central, or drop it off at the front desk of Citi FM at the Braka behind the police station. Level 2. The top 50 students selected from all over Ghana shall take a written general knowledge quiz. And finally, Level 3. The top 10 students shall compete in the classic quiz competition to win the ultimate prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis. The Literacy Challenge is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and sponsored by Data Bank Edifund and MoneyGram with support from Citi TV. Closing date for entries is Friday, 10th August 2018. Call 0205 973 973 for more inquiries. Terms and conditions apply.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked, you know.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day. The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV. My name is Fremi Adunyame.
Now, all is set for the final funeral rites of former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur. The final rites are expected to begin tomorrow. The two-day funeral ceremony will commence at the Accra International Conference Center, where the remains of the former Vice President will be laid in state for public viewing.
The former Vice President passed away on the 29th of June when he collapsed at the Air Force Gym. Citi Newsroom's Fred Jabano visited the conference center where the ceremony will take place and has filed this report.
This is the Accra International Conference Center, where the two-day funeral ceremony of the late former Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur will be held. Here at the conference center, finishing touches are being put in place for the ceremony, which begins tomorrow, Thursday. Outside the conference center, chairs have been arranged and canopies mounted. The national flag has been hoisted all over this area. Protocol officers are also here this afternoon, ensuring that what needs to be done is done and the place is set up for tomorrow. Here would be the final resting point for the former Vice President for 12 hours beginning tomorrow, Thursday, where the general public will be given an opportunity to file past and pay their final respect to a man who served this country as a Deputy Finance Minister, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, and Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. From the Accra International Conference Center, Fred Jabano, Citi Newsroom.
Meanwhile, a member of the Funeral Planning Committee, Emilia Arthur, has told Citi Newsroom everything is in place to give Kwesi Amissah-Arthur a befitting burial.
Tomorrow, Thursday, 26th July, former Vice President will be laid in state for public filing past, for public viewing. So the public is invited from 8 a.m. tomorrow to 6 p.m. right here in the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center. So people will come through, file past, and then go away from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then Friday, 27th July, in the morning from 7:30 there will be pre-burial service, and from 9 a.m. there will be the burial service right here in the Accra International Conference Center in the auditorium. Because the auditorium has limited sitting capacity, not everybody can come in. But you can see around here that there are tents coming up, and also the forecourt of the State House. There will be giant screens out there, and the burial service will be telecast, will be broadcast live for others who can come into the auditorium to be part of the service.
Let's get to some other stories. In Parliament today approved a $1.3 billion loan facility for the purchase of cocoa in the country for the 2018-2019 crop season, but not without some controversy during the process. Minority spokesperson on finance, Kesiela Tuforsin, raised concerns around Cocoa Board and how its 1.4 billion Ghana cedi debt was hampering the operations of the board. There's more in the following report.
The cocoa syndicated loan over the years has been the main financing mode for the purchase of cocoa beans. For the 2018-2019 crop season, Cocoa Board targets production output of 900 tons of cocoa. During debate before the approval of the $1.3 billion facility, the minority spokesperson on finance, Kesiela Tuforsin, warned of a looming danger in the operations of Cocoa Board due to a debt of some 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. According to him, if care is not taken, Cocoa Board may soon be taken over by debt.
That in the crop season 17-18, it was projected that Cocoa Board is going to run at a loss of 1.4 billion. The Speaker, as at 30th June 2018, if you are to look at Appendix 1, Cocoa Board has incurred losses of 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. The Speaker, this is the crop season starting from 2017, ending in 2018. The Speaker, let me also caution that we have not even finished the crop year. It is going to continue to possibly September. The Speaker, this means that an amount of 1.4 billion may end up exceeding that amount.
But Chairman of the Finance Committee, Dr. Marcus Ibeyabwa, says Cocoa Board has what it takes to operate efficiently.
As to why their total cost of operations is 9.8 and the syndicated loan is 5.9, which is 59%. The Speaker, the syndicated loan operates like a revolving fund. When Cocoa Board starts paying around February, they are able to access it again. Okay, so they don't need to borrow all of the 9 billion. When they start paying, they go back to the same lenders, and then that facility is again available to them.
Meanwhile, some MPs from cocoa growing areas in the Western region are lamenting the suspension of the Cocoa Roads project by government. According to MP for Bia East, Richard Champon, the state of the roads due to the suspension are so bad that cocoa cannot be transported from the farm gate.
If you may recall, during the administration of the NDC under John Dramani Mahama, there was a policy. So every year, the loan that was contracted to finance the purchase of cocoa, an allocation was made to construct cocoa roads. Because if the roads are bad at the farm gate, the trucks cannot go and convey the cocoa to the port. So every year, there was allocation about 700 million Ghana cedis to take that project. When this new administration came into office, we've abandoned this policy. And our concern is, let's finish those roads started by the previous administration before we can abandon the project. We have a double chrome to Nkrankwanta Road. It is abandoned as I speak. Benchema Junction to Sekudu Chrome, which is a road linking Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire. That one has been abandoned. One from a double chrome to Kojam and several cocoa roads. Meanwhile, we've secured cocoa proceeds to finance Bui project. So the people of Western region are calling on government to revisit this position so that we'll get our fair share of the cocoa proceeds.
For Citi News from Parliament, I am Duke Mensah Opoku.
Still on cocoa, farmers in the Akontombra district have expressed fears of losing their investments following the spread of the black pod disease. The farmers' greatest worry is the irregular cocoa gang spraying exercise carried out by government. The farmers who spoke to Citi TV's Akwese Jenim also called for a raise in the cocoa purchase price.
Ghana remains the second largest cocoa producer with global production share of about 20% and export earnings of about $2 billion annually. Despite government determination to secure 1 million tons of cocoa production for 2018-2019 crop season through the implementation of the cocoa flower pollination and pruning exercise, it seems this hasn't solved the problems of cocoa farmers of Akwaku Krom in the Akontombra district.
Farmers over here have invested a lot of money and time in getting their cocoa to grow up to this level, but they have this fear that if nothing serious is done about the way the cocoa spraying exercise is handled, their investments are all going to go waste.
Well, cocoa now, so and so still now, the whole year, a drum my eye, a digu, while the etitin, Nina, a pro, Amakuku, Tia, near Tigu. Today, let me can say, best rest Abano, and Fenruno, Emra, near Bingu, and Funuso. As you see, I wish us a full and Namu Timus about Hokama. Nase, yeah, I obebre Nase, when Nashi or one, or brow brain in an eye, Ober Drassi, Ubeguso, Ubegua, pausing, Nase, when ya apropos do Nemusua, naturally, so Brenna brain in eye, Kwanani, Kukunu, Bettini in our Togu.
Other cocoa farmers here also have issues with the current cocoa purchasing price of 475 Ghana cedis per bag.
Cocoa no ejuma edin pa na ye bre nti ye pese ka ban wo yes o ma 7 million na yen so yan fan ye bobre kakra na yam ye de ka ye bre cocoa ni gu ni bibie nyina ye ka e be wie na cocoa ska nyina san akodi cocoa no mu ye dura ye to empore duro ye bia na kodi cocoa yi ska no mu nti ye tra ban se ye pa na chop eni dim wo ma 7 million.
Over 800,000 families across the country depend on the cocoa sector, including this senior high school leaver.
We senior high, then we know the results. They all like by Nazi Tramuye, and Tunama Mays and Bobby Dipaka, and you could not make Tiano. So far, no, we use school 213. But I'm not by me by no. I still an inquiry and I'm not that sort of home. And to me, and on we are crying case of Nema year, I met my account to school.
DC for Sekwi Akontomra explains what government is doing to address some of the concerns raised by the cocoa farmers.
Their main focus is about them for the farmers to get insecticides and even fertilizers to even at all use it during their use it in their farms. But actually, the government is trying his best, and we are also helping. I think we have started for those of we have started pruning their cocoa, and even spraying to have been started. But all what we are praying is that in due time, government can raise the amount of the cocoa price for us, so that they too can get something to also care for the people or their children or something like that in the district.
Reporting from Akontomra, I am Akwesi Eje Anim for Citi Newsroom.
Let's get to where the WAI Social Welfare Officer Matthew Dasa, who was accused of extorting money from persons with disabilities, has refunded 4,300 Ghana cedis to 6 victims out of 40 beneficiaries of the PWD fund. But Upper West Regional President of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, Ibrahim Sani, suspects there are more victims who are afraid to come out because of threats from the social welfare officer.
The Upper West branch of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled in May this year lodged a complaint with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, accusing Matthew Dasa, a social welfare officer, of extorting money from its members. The officer was reported to have extorted the cash ranging from 200 Ghana cedis to 1,000 Ghana cedis from the beneficiaries of the 3% share of the District Assembly's Common Fund for Persons with Disabilities. Upper West Regional President of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, Ibrahim Sani, tells Citi News that the WA Municipal Chief Executive directed the social welfare officer to refund the money. He lamented that the officer, Matthew Dasa, insisted that the case be withdrawn from Shraj before he paid back the money, prompting the regional minister to order his arrest.
I narrated the story to regional minister. Then he also invited the district chief executive, and he also invited the officer in question. So the officer, minister asked the officer whether he was having the money with him. The total amount was 4,300 for the 6 people. 4,300. So he asked whether he was having the money with him, and then he said no, that the money was not with him. The minister said, okay, if that is it, we should go and sleep at the police station. It was on Friday. It was Thursday. Friday was Sunday, which should be a holiday. That he prepared to the following day, Monday, the police will escort him to the bank to catch the money. Then he will now come and put the money to us.
Ibrahim Sani explains that although the 4,300 Ghana cedis refunded is the full sum for the 6 victims, he suspects there are more of such cases, but the victims are afraid to come out.
As generally, some of my people are, they don't want to open up. And he also threatened them that whoever says it will never benefit again. So because of that fear, many people don't want to open up. You get it? Because now I myself have to put much pressure on some of them before they open up.
Also in the Western region, persons with disabilities in the Wassam and East municipality have petitioned the MCA for the removal of the Director of Social Welfare Services. They accuse the Director of lack of transparency in the disbursement of the District Assembly's Common Fund.
The Social Welfare District Director of Wassa Amenfi East, Mr. Gideon Sego, has been in the district for over 10 years. Within this long period, Mr. Gideon Sego has not done any meaningful thing to benefit the society. 2, Mr. Gideon Sego usually uses his phone to receive the society's money and goes to various places to do payment without proper documented and knowledge of the association. Because of his attitude and suffering of the members. We cannot work with Mr. Gideon Segu. We will not work with Mr. Segu too. We want Mr. Segu to transfer from Municipal Assembly Wasa Amenfi East.
Meanwhile, the administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, Irene Nato-Shilate, has announced the release of 7 million Ghana cedis to people with disabilities. Nanatufo Boatin's report for Citi News.
Now we move to the Bunahafa region, where the College of Health at Yamfo in the Tanot North municipality has been hit with accommodation challenges. The school has resorted to the use of an uncompleted lecture hall as a residence for the female students.
Citi Newsroom's Michael Sapon Fum visited the school and has come through with this report.
The College of Health at Yamfo was established in 2015 to train health personnel to fill the gap of inadequate health personnel across the country. 3 years down the line, the college has been plugged into accommodation challenges. School authorities have rented private facilities within Yamfo community for the male students as well. The college also lacks adequate lecture halls, a situation that is affecting teaching and learning activities. Some of the students shared their experience with Citi Newsroom.
Accommodation is a big problem. As you guys can see around, we are lacking a whole lot of infrastructure. With our hostels specifically, some would have to walk like 15-30 minutes before they get to school. Yes, and these days we have something we call pragya in town. They board it in and out like 1 CD, so if they have like 3 lectures and would have to go back in and back 6 times, they have to like pay 6 cedis a day just for coming to lecture's sake. My hostel specifically is containing like 50 people. They are just invading our privacy. Our things are getting missing always, and then we have no one to blame. So accommodation is really a problem in my school right now.
Well, accommodation on campus is a little bit, it has some challenges. It brings some challenges to us. Some of us stay very far from school. We are very far from campus. So in the evenings when we have to trek back to campus in order to learn, it presents some challenges because we don't feel like coming sometimes. And also the routes aren't very, well, they are not very good. And when it rains, it presents challenges with how to traverse the road, get to campus and start study. So it brings some challenges, especially in the rainy seasons like this and in the evenings.
The acting director of the college, Daniel Atanyako, in an interview, revealed steps are being taken to address the problem.
Right now, we are having about 5 or 6 accommodation or places where the students reside. All of them are rented apartments where we give to the students. What we want to do, or what we are trying to do, is to talk to people. We want to go into PPP, public-private partnership, individuals who can come and build accommodation if they can partner the school, because the school has land. So if somebody is interested and want to do that, our doors are open. You can come. We have an arrangement, and then whatever that will go into it so that the student can have a place to do. For now, the thing that we want is accommodation for our students, a bus to transport them, office accommodation, and the administrative accommodation for the office.
For Citi Newsroom, I am Michael Saponinfum, reporting from Yamfo College of Health.
And that's it for the Citi Newsroom tonight. Do visit citinewsroom.com for more news. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Fremedu Nyame.
My name is Nathan Kwa.